Hi everyone, my name is Maddie, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video where I'm going to be doing an FAQ Q&A kind of thing for Whatever-You-Want-A-Thon. So some very quick context for anyone who doesn't know, I did announce last week, or probably a couple weeks before you're seeing this, a readathon I'm hosting throughout June. I will link the announcement video up here. It is called Whatever-You-Want-A-Thon. It is through the whole month of June. As a very basic overview, it is a competitive readathon, there's 5 teams, and pretty much you can read whatever you want. Different things will earn you points, but it doesn't have to factor into what you read, and you set your own goal at the beginning of the readathon when you sign up to take part. And that is the goal you're aiming to achieve. Achieving that goal gets you basically as many points as anything else would combined. I think I worked out very roughly that if you achieve your goal, you get the same number of points as reading like 20 other books. So it's definitely achievable for everyone. You set your own goal, you get a lot of points from achieving that goal. Read whatever you want. There is a lot more to it than that though, so if you do want to watch the announcement video, I would recommend it because that's where you're going to get the majority of the information. I will also have linked down below the Google Drive with all of the graphics for the readathon, which does explain pretty much everything. But with both of those things existing, there are a lot of questions which keep coming up and a lot of questions people still have. So I've asked in the Discord, because there's a Discord for it, the link for that is in the sign up form. I've asked in the Discord for questions from people. I know lots of people have commented questions and I'm just going to run through some of the ones I feel like I've seen a lot of times and possibly need a bit of clarity. If you have any more questions after this, you can ask them in the Discord, but I would really ask for you to please watch the announcement video and look at the graphics first, because understandably I am getting a lot of questions which are covered in those things, which I will cover again, some of here. But please use the resources available before asking questions, because we've had a phenomenal number of people sign up. We've had over 1,500 people sign up in the first week since its announcement, and therefore I cannot keep up with answering every single question. So please look at the graphics so that I'm not being asked the same question 500 times. Now, very quickly before diving into all of the questions that I've seen everywhere, I just really quickly want to say the biggest thank you to every single one of you who has signed up for this. I am utterly mind blown that 1,500 of you have signed up in the first week. I cannot believe it. The fact that we got almost 1,000 people in the first day is just beyond insane to me. I'm so grateful. As a collective, we have pledged 12,000 books. That is incredible. If people are to hit their goals and we read that much, it's just beyond incredible. So thank you so much to every single person who has signed up and who is taking part and who is asking questions. I am so excited. I mean, I was excited before, but now it's just a whole nother level of excitement to do this with all of you. And also apologies if I get a bit negative in this video. I'm just trying to be really clear, and I feel like my frustration may have shown a teeny tiny bit when filming some of these answers, but I promise I'm not actually annoyed at anyone. I'm just trying to be really clear with what the rules are and how we're going to be playing this so that everyone can have the best and fairest time possible. Now, where we're going to start, and I will say this probably many times throughout this video, is, and this is something I did expect, a question that has been coming up time and time again is, does this count? Can I read this? Can I fit this? So basically the answer to all of those questions, and I'll go through some examples, but the answer in one line is count it if you want to, but don't be a dick about it. And I think this is just the ethos we all need to take into this. The whole way you earn points is through an honesty practice. You will tell me if you think your book fits a prompt and therefore you get the points for it. I will not be looking at individual entries and assessing whether I agree with you or not. I don't have time. We've pledged over 12,000 books. I cannot look through that many entries and see if what you say is true. So I'm just gonna have to trust you, but therefore don't be a dick about it. So I've had a lot of people asking, like, this book was published in 2005 and set in 2005. Can I count that as historical fiction? I would realistically say no. I would say the 80s, 90s are significantly far back enough that if you wanted to count that as historical fiction, then fair. But honestly, 2000s onwards, probably not really. The rule I always use for historical fiction is if it was published or set before a significant portion of the current population was born, then yes. But I feel like 2000s is, you're stretching that. So again, count it if you want to, don't be a dick. Similarly, and this is where I think it's actually most important, I've had a lot of people asking for the POC prompt and for the LGBT prompt, because obviously there's big points bonus for reading LGBT books. For both of those, and for also disability and mental health, I've had a lot of people ask what counts. I would say pretty much for all of these, a main character or an extremely prominent secondary character would be my rule for that, or author is the other option. So that would be kind of where I'd lie for that. Like, I've had a few people saying, oh, well, this one small character from this book people ship with another character of the same gender, and so can I count that for LGBT? And I'm not saying you can't. If you see that character and see yourself in them and you think you're queer and you want to count it, do it. But if it's a case of, oh, the fandom thinks they're cute, maybe don't. The whole point of having those prompts is to encourage people to read diversely. So I would just really hope that you take that with its message, and if you're trying to twist the prompts and not read diversely and still get the points, like, you've slightly missed the point. Maybe try and think about that. The thing as well with genre, a lot of people saying, does this genre fit my team? In general, I'll run through again the genres here. Contemporary are doing contemporary and romance. Middle grade Monarchs are middle grade, obviously, which does cover a lot of genres, because I realise middle grade is an age range, not a genre, but it was quite a nice differentiator. Epic and high is like epic, high fantasy. If you have like a space opera, epic, high sci-fi that you want to count for that, then so be it. Dreams and Drama Queens is like the slightly fantastical, so this is anything that you wouldn't class as like a full-out epic, huge political fantasy, but does have fantastical elements to it, and this can be on a huge scale, and I would even class some like dystopian speculative things in this. Again, it's slightly up to you. And then Comrades of Chaos covers everything else. So sci-fi, thrillers, historical, mystery, literary fiction, anything else. And I've seen a lot of people in Comrades of Chaos, and this isn't a criticism, I realise it's a really undefined team, saying they will count any book for it because it's the Chaos team. And my rule would be, if you think another team could claim it as their team genre, don't claim it for yours. Obviously, there are rules within this. So if you're reading like a middle grade contemporary or middle grade fantasy, obviously you can claim that for middle grade, even though the other teams could also claim it. So there is going to be crossover, like a fantasy romance, you could probably claim for either contemporary or fantasy, because if it's got a strong romance plot, it fits into the romance team. So it is up to you, but again, the very simple line, do what you want, don't be a dick about it. And this again applies to a question that a lot of people have asked, can I read a book I've already started before the month? 100% yes. If you've started it before the month and you still want to count it, that's absolutely fine. I'm regularly halfway through a book at the end of the month, and so I will roll it over and count it. I have books that I've started like 6 months ago, maybe want to try and finish. Those count 100%. Again, don't be a dick about it. Don't try and start 20 books with 10 pages left of each just so you can tick off finishing everything in the first 5 days. Like, that's a bit of a dick move. Don't do that. But again, it's all down to you guys. I have no way of policing this, so it is being done on an honesty policy and on trust. So please just don't abuse that, I think would be my biggest thing that I would really like everyone to take out of this FAQ and kind of Q&A thing. And I think possibly the simplest way to think about it is when you're thinking, oh, should I count this? Think about if someone was on another team to you, a different team, and they counted it, would you feel a bit miffed? If you would, maybe don't count it. But I think that kind of covers the, can I read this? Does this fit? All of that. The overall answer is it is completely up to you whether it fits. Just don't be a dick, especially with the prompts which are to encourage you to read diversely, because then you're kind of completely missing the point. Okay, that was quite a negative note to start off on, but it's just, I really wanted to clarify that because I don't want people feeling like they're limited in what they can read. The whole point is that you read whatever you want, but just don't claim things if you're not reading the correct things. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a couple other questions off the top of my head that have come up a few times, and then I will start going through comments and the Discord channel and stuff and find specific questions. So one I've seen come up a couple times, which is completely valid, is how many points is host favourite worth? This is completely my bad. I did have a mistake on the graphic. It has now been updated. Host favourites are worth 50 points, not 25. I did say it correctly in the announcement video, but my graphic was wrong because that was a last minute change and I'd forgotten to update my graphic. That is now updated. Apologies for that. If you look at the scoring graphic now, it does now say 50 points, which is how much a host favourite is worth. Similar to that, I have already explained that you can read any of the 30 host favourites, irrelevant of what team you are on, and you can read any book in those series. So for example, Jade put Draytor's Blade, which is one of the books in the Greatcoat series by Sebastian D. Castell. You could read any of those 4 books and count them. However, this has led on to another question, which you're all sneaky, I hadn't thought of this. Steph and India both have one of the books in the Brown Sisters trilogy on their favourites list, and so you could count all 3 in the trilogy because they're in the same series. You don't, however, get double points when reading any of those books because they're on 2 lists. That's not how it works for 2 reasons. Number one, because just doesn't feel particularly fair to me. And number two, because I don't know how to make that work in my spreadsheet. So no, you do just still get a 50 point for it being a host favourite. Just because it happens to be two hosts' favourites, kind of can't avoid that. We actually all had to coordinate what we were saying as our favourites, as there was a lot of crossover. So I know the Once and Future Witches, Night Circus, Strange the Dreamer, Every Heart a Doorway, and a couple others wanted to be on multiple people's lists, but we worked out a way so they were only on one person's list each. But I didn't consider that with the Brown Sisters because India and Steph chose different books in the series. So no, if it's any of the ones on the graphic, even if it was on two people's lists, you still only get 50 points. Sorry. The other question I've seen a lot, which I did cover in the announcement video, but I'll cover again here, is can you get like different areas of points for one book? Yes. So just to explain this, you get 100 points for every book you read up until your goal. You get 200 points for every book you read past that. On top of that, you can also get 100 books if it's LGBTQ+, and 50 points if it's a host favourite, and 25 points if it's in your team genre, and up to 75 points, which is the equivalent of 3 prompts for if it fits prompts. The reason that is capped at 75 for the prompts is simply because there are 15 prompts. If you happened to find a book that fit all 15, you would get 375 points, which in my opinion is a little bit too much. So I have capped it at 3. You can personally assign it for as many prompts as you want. So if you want to say you've ticked off all the prompts reading one book, fab, but you will only get 75 points worth of prompts each book. So yeah, 25 per prompt, maximum of 3. So the maximum points you can get for a book, and this is if it's a host fave, LGBT, fits your team genre, and fits 3 prompts, is 350 points. Good luck trying to do that. I think some of you are finding ways somehow, but yes, you can get all of them. You can get all of those in one book. Do as much as you want. Another question I've been asked is, can you count it for a prompt if you thought it was when you started and then you were wrong? I would say yes and no. So if, for example, you wanted to claim it's LGBT when it wasn't, I would say no, please don't, even if you thought it was going in. I know it's frustrating, but we really want to try and support LGBT books here. However, if it was something like, I'm trying to remember what my other prompts even are, like you thought it'd be a 5-star prediction, doesn't end up being 5 stars, or I'm trying to remember, I don't have many which like are to do with plot devices, but you know, whatever it is, if you thought it was going in and that's why you picked the book, and you ended up being wrong, yeah, you can still count that. Don't worry too much about that. But again, when it comes to like the diversity ones, so POC, disability, mental health, and LGBT, maybe not, because then it kind of defeats the purpose of it. Okay, so I'm gonna delve into the Discord now and kind of go through some more specific questions. So one, which I've actually seen a few times, is Assassin's Apprentice is on Ashley's list. Can you read any Elderling book or just the Farseer trilogy? I am gonna limit it to that trilogy. I know they're all interconnected, but again, be sensible, otherwise it just gets a bit mad with how many you can claim on. Someone else was saying they're not a booktuber and don't have a TBR game. How are you meant to do the TBR game prompt? What I was envisaging for this is you watch someone else's TBR game and pick any prompt that comes up for them and use that, so that should be easy to do, irrelevant of having your own TBR game. Someone saying, can you read in any language? Yes, absolutely. I would never expect people to read in English just because I do and because a lot of books are published in English. Read in whatever format, whatever language you want. This is very much where the whatever you want rule comes in. Okay, this is a really important one. Someone asking, I can't remember what I've pledged, I can't remember what name I've used, what do I do? Right. I knew this would happen. I warned you all to remember your name and I knew this would happen, but that's absolutely fine. So, on the Google Drive, I have also created a personal score tracker. This is because I cannot update you on how you're scoring throughout the month. But if you want to keep track of your own score, there is a spreadsheet on there where you can like tick off what things it fulfills and it will give you your overall score and your rank so far. So Youngling, Acolyte, Mage or Deity. That is in the Google Drive. In that spreadsheet, there will be a tab which is called like signups or something. Once a week, I'm going to copy and paste across every single person who has signed up and what book, how many books they've pledged, and that will go into that sheet. You can then look in that sheet, and it will update every week, and this will be through to the end of June, it will update every single week, and you can look in that sheet, search for your name, search for your pledge, and you can find out. Please do this. If for whatever reason you cannot find yourself in that list, you can send me a message, but I cannot make any promises about getting back to them. I'm already getting so many messages on Twitter, and I'm doing my best to keep up with them, but I do have a full-time job, so I can't make any guarantees. But that's what's going to happen. So every week, the spreadsheet, which is titled like Whatever-Thon Tracker, I will link it specifically below this video, separate to the Google Drive. There is a sheet in that spreadsheet which says sign-ups. That will have all the list of names and all the list of pledges. You can find it there. That is your go-to point. Please use it. And also, every time you fill in the tracking form, or not every time, the first time, and then remember it or write it down, whatever, look at exactly what you wrote. You need to write character by character the exact same thing as you wrote in that original sign-up form, or it will not count any of your points throughout the month. So check it. You have a way of checking. Make sure you do. Another question I've seen a few times is, does page count for more points? No, absolutely not. Page count doesn't matter. You can only earn points in the ways already discussed, which are, LGBT, host, fave, genre, fitting a prompt, things like that. However, I will, for a bit of fun, be releasing how many pages we've read as a collective by the end of this readathon and how many pages each team has read, but that's just for fun. It doesn't actually contribute to a winner in any way. Another question I did mention in the announcement video, but I will cover again here, is can one prompt be used multiple times across multiple books? Yes, absolutely. I know buddy read, I think I'm doing like 3 buddy reads in the month, so I'll be counting all of those. I think I'm reading quite a few which look like a pride flag to me, so I'm going to count those every time. So yes, 100% you can use any prompt as many times as you would like, and you can count it every single time. Another one I've kind of already briefly covered, but I'll just say again, is if there's an overlap in genres, can you use it for either? Yes, but again, kind of that same logic as before of if you think another team could use it, maybe not. So for example, I've seen people saying like if you have a high fantasy middle grade, would you count that for epic and high? I would say no. I would say that really counts as middle grade. But again, it is up to you. I can't stop you. Just don't be a dick about it. The ethos here. Another question is for host favorite. Does it have to come from the graphic? Yes, or it has to be in the same series as those books. There is a separate prompt, which is a Bookish creators favorites list. That you can look at any Bookish creator, BookTok, Bookstagram, BookTube, BookTwitter, find a favorites list, and any book that's on any of those counts. But the host favorite, it has to be their ones from the graphic. You can't just like look at one of their previous favorites videos and read that one. It has to be one of the ones from the graphics to get the 50-point bonus. But of course you could get the 25-point bonus for it if it's on any of their favorites lists. Similar to that, another thing I've seen asked is, can you count if it's like by the same author? So for example, Becca has put Crescent City on her list. Could you count ACOTAR? No. Just the series that's on the graphic. It's linked down below. Another question I've seen a lot is like, well, not even a question, just a thing, is people already starting to choose their team. That's fine, you don't need to choose now. However, if you would like to be in the Discord before choosing your team, just DM the Twitter account, Whatever-Thon, again, it's linked down below, and I will send you the Discord link, because I do realise that if you've not decided on a team yet, it could be a bit frustrating to be missing out. But yes, please just DM the Twitter and I'll send it across to you. Just let me know that you've not decided your team yet and want it a bit early, and that's absolutely fine. Another question I've seen a huge amount is, do I have to read the genre that my team says? No, absolutely not. Like if you want to join middle grade Monarchs and then read adult books all month, absolutely fine. Choose your team for whatever reason. You can choose your team because of the genre, you can choose your team because you like the colour, you can choose the team because you like the hosts, you can choose the team because you like the name. Just dropping that Dreams and Drama Queens is a really cool name. Not that it's my team or anything. So choose whatever team you want for whatever reason and read anything. The only bonus you're going to miss out on is that 25-point bonus, which honestly doesn't matter. Like, I'm not reading all within my genre. I have like 4 contemporary books lined up for June, which I'm going to read because I really want to. Use it to mood read, do what you want. If you want to get really invested and plan out TBRs and get points, which a lot of people have been doing, fab. If you want to do what I'm doing, a mood read and see where you end up, also fab. Either is completely fine. Another question I've seen a lot is, are there going to be reading sprints? Yes, there 100% are going to be reading sprints. I don't know when exactly, I don't know who will be hosting them. There's not specific plans yet. I will be doing my best, and I think we will all be doing our best to have like every host some reading sprints throughout the month. My current plan is at the like Sunday or whatever, Saturday, Sunday each week, I will announce the sprints for the next week. That's the plan, because planning further ahead than that is really difficult, but there will be lots of sprints. I can't guarantee how many. I won't be able to do midweek sprints for a couple of the weeks because I obviously have work, so I'll only be able to do weekend ones, but I am sure between 10 hosts we'll have quite a lot of sprints going on for you. The other thing to look out for is on the 31st of May to 1st of June, that night there is going to be like a little kick-off launch live with maybe some sprints. I doubt it'll be too long because quite a lot of us would quite like to sleep before too late, and I don't think everyone will be making it because obviously people have work and it is on a Tuesday. But that's a thing to keep your eye out, that like 11 p.m. midnight UK time, there might be a live show coming up to kind of kick off this whole readathon. Another question, which I think is a really good question, is for the buddy read prompt. Does it have to be like an officially organised buddy read? No, if you're taking part in any book club or read along or anything like that, that 100% counts as a buddy read. Feel free to count it. Also, if you do want to take part in a buddy read and don't know who to ask to organise them, in the Discord there is 2 channels to do with buddy reads. There is one where people are organising them, and there is a whole channel of the buddy reads that have already been organised, which you can just go through and look at the list and join whichever one you want. So plenty of ways to get involved with that prompt. Another prompt specific question is for the prompt that the last letter of a title needs to be the same as the first letter of the next book you read. Which book do you claim that prompt for? The second one, because that's the book that was decided based off the title of your previous book. So like the one you are reading where the previous title last letter is the same as the first letter of the title you're currently reading, that's the book you claim it for. You don't claim it for both. Though again, I can't stop you. Another question I've seen a few times, which I have got back to people on, but I will mention here, is people with sort of dyslexia or partially sighted or using screen readers, all of this. There is a document in the Google Drive with all of the information on the graphics written out just in completely plain sans serif font in like a PDF Word document style thing. If that is still not accessible for people, please, please, please let me know. I thought that would work better for screen readers and people who struggle with the fonts in the graphics and stuff. If, however, that is still not very legible for people, please let me know, and let me know what format would be good for people, because I've never used a screen reader, I'm not completely sure, but as far as I know that should work. But do let me know if there's any other accessibility things I can do for the graphics to make them better. Another couple of questions that kind of tie together is to do with what you pledge. Firstly, what you pledge is not a limit. Obviously, you can read more than that. You will get more points for books you read more than that. Not saying pledge low to try and get that, because the core chunk of your points is always going to be from achieving your goal, and then you just get a few extras for books past that. But also, people have been asking about changing their pledge. I am going to say this with the strongest possible emphasis on do not do this unless you absolutely have to. If, looking at the list of names, you can't remember what you signed up for, or if you really need to change your pledge, and I don't mean like, oh, maybe you want to change it, like something dramatic has happened and there is just like, your life has completely changed. Other than that, please don't do this. You can just use the sign up form again with a different name. It will just mean that your first one doesn't pull into the tracking form and it won't be counted. That is possible. However, this will warp my perspective of how many people are taking part, because there'll be more sign-ups than people taking part. At the end of the readathon, when I'm working out the scores, I will be going through, and anyone who hasn't tracked a single book will be removed from the averages just to keep it fair. But please, please, please do not sign up again unless you absolutely have to, like completely unavoidable, because it will really warp things, but it is an option if it needs to be. Just to add to this super quickly, if you do, for whatever reason, have to change your pledge and you do end up signing up a second time, please DM the Whatever-Thon Twitter account and tell me what your original sign up was so I can delete it. That would be greatly appreciated. Again, please don't do this unless you have to, but if you have to, at least let me know so I can delete your original pledge so that I can get a full picture of how many books we've actually pledged as a collective. Just because it's a bit of a shame to overestimate that and then us really not hit it. So let me know. Thank you. Okay, I think that covers the majority of the questions that I've seen. I'm trying to rack my brain for things that has come up in sprints or come up in other places. But I think that is everything. Again, if you have more questions, comment them down below. I'll do my best to keep on top of them. The easiest place for me is definitely the Discord, just because I check it daily, whereas I don't always have time to look at YouTube comments, unfortunately, just due to my job. So Discord ideally, Twitter if you need to, comments as a last resort. Do leave any questions that are unanswered. But again, there is an announcement video. There is now this video. There are lots of graphics. They should explain pretty much everything you need. So check those first. Keep me sane, because with 1,500 people asking me questions, I might be losing my mind just a little bit, though I obviously cannot stress enough how excited I am and how blown away I am by the responses Readathon has received and how many of you are wanting to take part and be competitive with me. It is incredibly exciting and I'm unbelievably grateful, but it's also just a touch overwhelming when being asked the same question 200 times. So, you know, try and look it up before asking. There are also mods in the Discord, and obviously your hosts are quite familiar with all the rules, and a lot of people in the Discord do like understand everything quite well. So someone should be able to answer your question pretty easily. But I think that covers everything, so we're going to stop here for today. If there is anything else that I really need to say, I'll find a way to put it on Twitter. I would definitely recommend you follow the Twitter. I'm doing my best to keep updates going on there as well as the Discord. But I'm going to stop talking now. So thank you so much for watching. If from all of this you are now interested in taking part in the Readathon, obviously everything will be linked down below to have a look at that. Like this video if you enjoyed it, comment down below. I want to know your team. Please drop the heart emoji in your team colour, like down below. I want to know. I want to see how we're all doing. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content from me. Links down below are links to obviously everything to do with this Readathon, as well as all my other social medias and read-alongs and readathons that I host, as well as my Patreon and my wishlist if you want to check out any of those. But that is it for the video, so bye, and I'll see you in the next one.